Hello everyone, this is Bic Benedict. We're on Simon's Quest Part 2 of what I believe is going to be 3 parts. So ironically, or not, there's nothing ironic about this, but interestingly enough, I didn't get this scroll right here. So I want to welcome everybody back to my guide. We're playing Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate, way too many colons, on hardcore difficulty. Did I leave this in? Okay, sorry, I did not want to leave that in, but usually I trim those out. I profusely apologize for that. Now this section's pretty interesting what we have going on here. We have some ghouls coming out of the floor, and oh yeah, by the way, that right there, that's the hurricane attack. It's a variant of the tremor punch that actually is in Lords of Shadow. How you do it is L2 plus square. You have to hold the L2 and hold down on square, and then once he does the tremor punch, continue to hold down on the square button. You're vulnerable for an insanely long period of time. So it's a strong move, but just realize that you're going to have to put yourself at great risk to use that move. Now, you will be able to pull this lever here. There will be time enough for you to do it. As you can see, it takes 5 pulls of it. Get some health right here. This video will be probably 20 minutes, I think. And we're going from place to place. The reason I don't want to have the title cards is because they're loading times. And when I go to a new room, all I really want to do is just transition the video to the next part. So you don't have to be confused about what part I'm going to, because I'm going to have it all labeled. So to get this right here, you need to activate the magic, and I haven't gotten this night scroll either. I could not get these and complete all my experience by the end of the game, but I might as well get them. I don't have all the bestiary cards, but those are more of a novelty than a necessity for me anyway, because they pretty much just tell you, some information about the enemy you're fighting and weaknesses. So on this hand car here, these are pretty annoying sections for me. I don't like rotating the left analog stick, but I believe there are a few times in the game, maybe numbering about 3 times when you're on the hand car, and there are pitfalls, not really pitfalls, we're not playing Donkey Kong, we're projectiles that you have to move or watch out for while you're moving the hand car from point A to point B. Now sometimes these zombies here, they get cut in half. See that? You can kill them with an area attack. And I personally like to grab the enemies when they're grabbable, because first of all, I don't like pressing buttons. Not that right there when I was pressing that button, but I don't like to, when I grab them, I don't like to press buttons or interact with QTEs. So it's nice that in this game you just grab the enemy and it does an animation that you don't have to participate in, and it also gives you some breathing room when you're in the heat of a battle. You have all the iframes in the world, obviously, when it's in that cutscene. So you can't go to the left, so don't bother smashing the barrel. So I hope everybody is doing well. Feel free to comment, although the new YouTube comment section is... I'll never stop being fucking angry at what they're doing. It's so maddening. Why do we even have an inbox at this point? Are they just going to remove it at some point? Because it serves no purpose unless you're writing personal messages to people. It has no function anymore. So what I did was I installed Google Plus on my phone, so I can actually check, whenever I have a message, I'll look on there and it'll have a little message by the bell, and it's just really stupid. I'm just fucking furious with it. I really hope they repeal it. With this amount of anger that's going on with it, we need a lot more bigger YouTube personas to make some videos about it, and they already have, but bottom line is money. But anyway, I can't rant about that. I want to talk about this game because it's really terrific. This is a $14.99 game if you're in the United States. If you're in another country, it'll be a different currency, but it'll probably be around the same amount of money. hopefully it is available in your neck of the woods, wherever that neck of the woods is. This game actually came out last March, and it got a scathing review from somebody named Colin Moriarty, whom I actually like, and I think he's very intelligent, but his review was incorrect because he stated that on bosses there are like multi-checkpoints. Now that's correct. I mean, it's partially correct what he said, but it's only correct in the sense that if you're playing on normal and easy, then you get those checkpoints. But he made it out to seem like even if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, which we are right now, you get all these checkpoints. But it was a really biased review, and I don't think this game got the justice it really deserved back in March. I mean, it's not going to be the most groundbreaking experience you've ever played, but for all the limitations that the 3DS has, you know, it's a great system, but it's not a console. It's a hand. Well, I guess it would be a console, but it's not one of these, you know, consoles where you hook up an HDMI cable to it. It's not like that. But anyway, you may have noticed these ghouls here, and you have to kill their bones once they're on the ground and writhing to be resurrected. I read that in this game's Wikia that Simon, the protagonist we're playing now, the gameplay is that of Castlevania 4, or at least similar to it. And then in the a la carte section, the game is reminiscent of Symphony of the Night with its puzzles and its atmosphere. And in Trevor's campaign, my favorite campaign, I've decided it's reminiscent of Lords of Shadow. So now that thing right there, that is sort of a guide, and it gave I don't know the whole story, but it gave Simon the medallion that he wears. And so what's happening here in the story? Somebody killed his family. I don't really know the whole story, but at this point, I really don't even know what the Mirror of fucking Fate is. And I've already played the game and watched every cutscene, and that's how little the game did to explain everything. So it's like there's some other meta story that's not even, you can't even find in the game somewhere else that you have to look for. And story is not something I even care about normally. I mean, if you're playing The Last of Us or some story-based, you know, heavily narrative-driven game, of course the story is important. But when I play a game like this, I'm primarily looking for responsive combat and diverse and cooperative mechanics, and this game does a fantastic job. Can you whip in 8 different directions? Nah, you can't. But you know, these are not the days of the Super Nintendo anymore. But they're still good days, and I'm having a fantastic time playing this game. When I play these games, I come alive. Anytime I'm playing like Ninja Gaiden in this game or God of War or anything, I'm just a different person, a better person, a happy person, just having the time of my life. So, anyway, we're heading up here. We're doing some platforming. There are, when you start the game, you don't have any sub-weapons, and all of the stats carry over from character to character, so you don't have to, and that was another criticism that this game got, that there's a feeling of disconnectedness from the character since you switch 4 times technically. But with the fact that the stats carry over, it's a pretty seamless experience in my opinion, because it doesn't matter whom you switch to. When you switch to the different person, you'll just have some different moves, which don't vary drastically anyway, and your experience remains the same. Everything remains the same. You know, the level of ammunition you have is the same. So I don't know how much ammo you could possibly carry. It might be like 20, but you start out with 0, and every time you get a treasure box with an ammo upgrade, you'll get 1 more. And conversely, you'll also stumble across chests that have health upgrades, and chests that have magic upgrades, with the former being green and the latter being yellow ones. So here we're going to fight a hunchback troop. So, oh, it's not the troop I was thinking about. We've just got these guys and they're throwing Molotov cocktails at us. We will face another hunchback troop that has one guy with a shield and a sword in front like a leader, and you need to kind of focus on doing area attacks to widen your range. Now, sometimes you can roll through an enemy. It looks like you roll through the enemy. It's not really that you're rolling through the enemy. It's because this is on a 2D plane. They're giving you a kind of a break and just letting you go to the other side. But sometimes you'll try to roll through the enemy, but you'll roll into the enemy. So what you have to do is jump over the enemy. But if you have any other enemies, perhaps hovering in the air trying to hit you with projectiles or swords or something, then you need to do an air dash out of the way, left or right, depending on the circumstance. So here's a bestiary card I didn't pick up. The flying scavin. Got another lever to pull. And I think where we need to go is over here to the right. So I think I believe I said something incorrect. I said that Simon Belmont doesn't get a combat cross. He does get a combat cross when we'll be fighting the Necromancer. And we'll get the combat cross, the Necromancer will take it from us, and then once we clear the Necromancer, we'll get it. Okay, so here's another one that I didn't get. I don't really care to read what's inscribed on these scrolls here. But if I can use the combat cross, what I'm going to be doing in the next video is backtracking, and I'll be publishing a video of me backtracking. So there might be 4 videos with Simon's Quest. But I don't know about you all, but I really like Castlevania. On my other channel, I have Castlevania 1 on hard mode published. I have Castlevania 3 on the regular mode because that game is damn hard. One of the hardest games. And I don't have Simon's Quest because it's a non-linear game, and I played it back in the late 80s. I actually got it for a birthday present once, but there's a really good game called Castlevania Rebirth for the Wii, and it is the hardest side-scrolling Castlevania ever. It's harder than Castlevania 3, and for a new game, it kicks ass really bad. But anyway, we've got some puppets here. The puppets in the air do vertical attacks, so they'll do stomps. Anytime there's a puppet on the ground and he's doing an attack that flashes, it'll be a roll across the screen, so you're going to have to jump over it. And without the ability to do double jumps with this character, it's hard to actually jump over something that has a wide diameter to it. For instance, when these guys are doing cartwheel attacks, you'll also notice a lot of rough edits over here. There is only one checkpoint here, but every so often there will be a cutscene when Simon's doing something different. So I have to play it very carefully when I'm publishing a Konami game. And oh yeah, before I forget, in the last video I said David Cox was the executive producer of this game. I don't know if he's the executive producer, but his title says producer, and I think he was a game director of Lords of Shadow 2, of Lords of Shadow 1. I don't know what his role is. I think his role in Lords of Shadow 2 is a producer. But yeah, I have to play it really safe with Konami and not put any cutscenes in and do a full commentary. I published another video, a boss fight from this game on my other channel without any narration, and it got a content ID match. And so far I haven't had any problems with this campaign. So we're leaving the theater now. Over to the left it's either that it's not where we need to go, or it's simply we can't do anything over there. Now you see that blue arrow in the upper right? That means that's not where you're supposed to go. That means it's an exit. So that blue arrow right there, that just means that location right there contains an exit. So here's some more puppets. I don't really like these puppets, to be honest, but they were... I think these guys were in Castlevania 4. I know the books were, and we'll be fighting the books pretty soon, and they're really problematic. I do like the final boss encounter for Simon's Quest, the Succubus. It's an interesting fight. It's probably got the closest thing to like nudity you'll ever find in a Nintendo game, but their breasts they're covered up. So, ooh, another one I missed. See, you missed quite a lot in your first campaign. So even if I don't find all the health and magic upgrades, it's not going to matter to me personally, because I feel confident that I could clear the game without all the upgrades for the health and magic. But I'm still going to try to find them, because I like finding stuff and upgrading things. So on these guys, you really need to do jump. You need to jump and do direct attacks, or from the ground do area attacks, which are slower, but get the job done sometimes better than the direct attacks do. So now we're heading up here and watching out for the steam, and proceeding to the next area, which is the terrace. And okay, so these are I think these are no, I don't think these are vampires. I think these are smaller succubi, if that's the plural tone. Now when they do that shout, it's always in front of them. So when you see them glint, what you need to do is go behind them so that you're not caught in that. If you can't make that happen, what you need to do is roll clear across the way as far as you can out of the range, because it doesn't cover the entire screen. It just covers a very big area. So on the Necromancer boss fight that's going to end this video, I did a pretty good job on him. And you see the magic we have? I think that's the Sypha magic. If you've ever played Castlevania 3, there's a character called Sypha in it. And Sypha is Trevor's wife, I think. There's so much story to these games that it's just overwhelming at times. What do we have here? Okay, we have for the first time we have a lycanthrope. Now, as I said in like one of the earlier videos, whenever all you do is hit, see, hit, they always do that. They'll always react. Well, I shouldn't say that, but like 98% of the time, they'll react with a non-blockable, non-parryable attack. Sometimes I like to do it just so I could keep them on their feet. There is a counterattack with the synchronized block. And again, I use the left analog stick or the D-pad just kind of interchangeably. But the guillotine upgrade is extremely powerful. So, you know, if all you're going to do is the guillotine, that's okay. But if you want to hold down the square button and then let it go after a second, you're going to do the guillotine upgrade attack, which may very well be the strongest attack in the game. So, did you see how that... Oh, maybe they're sirens, or not sirens, but... I will have to look their names up. But definitely don't be caught in that shout. So the lycanthropes, they'll do 2 hits, which can be guarded against, but that third hit you can do nothing about, which is very, very prevalent in this game. I can't believe how many enemies, how many bosses, even the final boss, you know, Dracula, Gabriel, Dracul, whatever you want to call him, the dragon, the thorn in God's side. Even he has hit, unblockable attack. So, anyway, where are we going to next? Okay, this is the courtyard. There's no enemies out here. It's a grappling point. We'll come back to that. And then we're in this area here, which is the library, and I believe we'll be fighting some books. Now, don't ever let these books steal your experience points. Here they are. Interact with this right here. So how these guys work is that they work in tandem with the enemies on the ground, meaning that if they ever electrify and empower the other enemies, you can't destroy the enemies on the ground. You have to take out the book. Now, the book will either drain your health, your magic, or your experience. I'm fine with him taking my health and my experience, but nobody fucking steals Big Benedict's experience points. That doesn't happen. So if that ever, you know, God forbid that ever does happen, then I'll let the enemies kill me, because I just can't justify someone stealing my experience points. You know, things that you cannot get back. So right now he's stealing my magic. That's okay. What you need to do is jump, throw axes at him. The sub-weapons are very powerful in this game, extremely powerful. Sometimes they don't work against enemies, but that's just because they're programmed to not have any efficacy on particular enemies. Some enemies are programmed the opposite, to where the sub-weapons are very, very, like, almost overpowered. So personally, I like to do the Rising Strike rather than the Rising Assault. The latter is triangle X, the former is triangle X, and the former is square X. Why is that so? I'm not really sure. I think the Rising Assault, I feel it's a little quicker and a little less flashy, and just does the job a little bit more efficiently, I think. So we're almost on the boss. There is a scroll if you don't have it. And now I'm going to double jump down here. See, I thought I needed to go left for some reason. Sorry about that. And, you know, just double checking things. So you can't help everything in this game. But the boss, if you've played Lords of Shadow, you will know who this guy is. He's actually Zobek's slave, I guess you'd say, or Zobek is his master, the necromancer. And Zobek is one of my favorite characters in Lords of Shadow, voiced by the wonderful what's his name? Patrick Stewart. So you go up to the throne, you'll get the combat cross, but in the cutscene you lose it. So what I like to do here is use my magic, because in the next phase you have no access to your magic for some reason, which I don't understand. So you'll want to use the magic, which is essentially a way so that if you ever get hit, it doesn't take off from your health bar, but it does take off from the magic bar. That's the only time it actually uses. So what the necromancer does is he uses his staff to throw it. Now, if you saw right there, I rolled through that even though I had the magic on, so it doesn't really demonstrate what I was talking about. But when he throws his weapon, you can roll through it for iframes. Other than that, you really need to stay away from it. You need to see how I rolled right through it. Took no damage from me, and I did not have my magic on that was protecting me. See, rolled through it again. So lackeys are a real problem here. Just dispense with them in the quickest way you can. And this guy right here, he's very weak against crosses. So whoops, I missed that edit right. I missed cutting that out. In this phase, though, you need to move away from the falling green orbs and watch out for the lackeys, and just try not to get boxed into a corner. There are walls to the left and right where you can go no further. So here I'm doing a takedown. See how much damage it takes away? And if you hold the circle button, see, hold it, it does the fire attack, and it takes away even more. So I haven't even got hit yet, because with the aid of that magic in the first phase. So now I'm coming over here very quickly, and there's no checkpoint anywhere. So, you know, this is hardcore now. Even if you were playing on hard, you still would know the same deal, how they work this. One really bizarre thing happened. I got to a checkpoint, died, and then they restarted me right on the boss. I died right here because I got caught in a loop where I couldn't get up quick enough, but I think if I had tapped X, then I could have got out of it with the quick recover. So now you just need to evade these, rolling and jumping as appropriate, and then just hit him, and then I'll see you in the next video.